Hello and welcome to our Socks on Fire video. My name's Bex and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Bexley Norms, and you can find me on YouTube as Bex Creates.
I'm Rachel Fletcher and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Twin Set and Pearl.
So John has asked us to be part of the event today as designers. So Rachel and I have both designed quite a few patterns now, so we thought we'd sort of tell you a bit about ourselves, show you some of our designs, most importantly share with you the Socks on Fire designs that we've done especially for today that are being released, and we're going to answer a few of your questions that you've sent in, and if you stay to the end of the video there might be something that make it worth your while. So Rachel, do you want to tell us a bit about how you got into designing?
So I've been knitting nearly all my life. So I've knitted
so 21 years, yeah?
Yeah, more like 44 years. But kind of in the beginning of lockdown, I designed my first sock. Well, I didn't really design it. I just knitted a sock that I liked and I couldn't find a pattern for. Put it on Instagram and a few people just said, oh, why don't you publish the pattern? So that is literally how I got into designing. And I just literally got bitten by the bug. And I designed together with my twin sister as Twin Set and Pearl, and for the most of 2020 I spent helping her really get her designs off to a good start. But then socks just are my addiction. So we'll talk more about what happened this year. What about you? How did you start designing?
So I designed my first pattern I think it's exactly 3 years ago actually, the Snow Day cowl, mainly because it was just kind of an itch I felt I needed to scratch. I'd been knitting a while and I was at a point where I sort of quite often tweaked other people's patterns, and you know, I never stuck rigidly to a sock pattern. But knows that I never stick rigidly to a sock pattern. And I'll tell you a bit
even
more
if I want her to.
But in the last year, I've designed quite a few patterns, and that was mainly because I've been off work sick, because I was waiting for and I have now had major hip surgery. So because I was off my feet and stuck at home in lockdown quite a lot, it was just the perfect thing to do, and it kind of flexed some of those muscles in my brain that I wasn't getting to use from not being at work. So,
I agree with that, definitely.
Rachel, do you want to share with us your Bridgerton collection? Because I think that's probably the collection you're famous for, and the thing that really got you into designing, wasn't it?
Yeah, if you can say that. So yeah, Bridgerton had, I would say, quite a big impact on me this year, but
and it wasn't just regular.
Not only was it enjoyable and very popular, but it definitely got my designing juices going, shall we say. So it all started with the Whistledown socks, my first Bridgerton pattern, which I literally called the Whistledown socks because I was knitting them while I was watching Bridgerton.
Why not?
But they kind of took off. And then a certain someone not too far away suggested that I came up with a collection of Bridgerton socks. So I then designed and tested and published a pattern every fortnight for the first 5 more socks, basically. So I don't actually have my Daphne socks, but Daphne was next.
This was one of my favourite ones to knit. They were so lovely.
And that one was one of the hardest ones to design. So this pattern didn't really have any inspiration from Bridgerton, except it looks a little bit like wisteria. That one, I knew what I wanted, but I just couldn't get the middle bits to work. So it's about the 6th go, that pattern. Then we had the Duke, and this was inspired. There's lots to be inspired by the Duke, as we know, but this one,
reggae.
It was inspired by his waistcoat.
And
this, really, can I just say, these are all in Bird Street yarn. So this is old number 7. This is Beaujolais, which is beautiful. And these socks, they just knit themselves, I think.
I really find that. And they look
Yeah.
really intricate, but actually once you get into
They're
them,
and mostly it's knit and purl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we had Lady Portia, which was a bit of a flamboyant, and actually Bex really helped me with this design because we realized my first design was going to be humongous.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So they have this feather and fan for the Featheringtons, and on the back they have this bow detail, which is very Portia, I think. And this is the Portia colourway, which Claire dyed especially for me, which makes them very special.
Yeah.
Even though I've actually haven't worn any of my Bridgerton socks yet. So
I haven't worn any of these yet because I've done them all as part of the Rainbow Chronicles. So mine is fresh.
The next was we will hurry up a bit now. Next was Lady Violet, and this was definitely inspired by the beautiful wisteria, which is iconic of Bridgerton. And these are actually one of my favourites, and these knit themselves. They're addictive.
I can say that about all of them if I want.
Yeah. And then we had Lady Danbury, which is possibly the most design, well, of my original designs. I literally copied a necklace that she wore to the Danbury ball, and it took me a while to work out how I was going to do it. And these are twisted stitches, and I think if I could show you the picture, which I can't because I didn't think about that, it actually looks so much like the necklace.
Yeah, it really does. I can
imagine. You actually do a nifty thing by changing the position of your heel so that the pattern sits like a necklace would. So the back is, yeah. And those are in Countess Grey. Are they? No, French Earl Grey. French Earl Grey.
One of those.
Which is beautiful. And then lastly, the bonus pattern, which I think is my favourite, is Queen Charlotte. And Queen Charlotte is a big pattern, which means that you only do 2 repeats for the leg, so you're done.
Yeah, again, that very quick.
And I have to say thank you to my test knitter Maggie, who quickly knitted me up a second pair of Queen Charlotte, because a friend of mine, I offered her to choose a pair of socks, and she chose Queen Charlotte, much to my horror. Anyway, so they were the bonus 7th pattern, Bridgerton, and there may be Christmas at Bridgerton coming.
And of course, series 2 is coming next
year. And series 2 is in progress. I have some fun yarn from some lovely dyers this time, so that's exciting. Yeah. So, what about you?
So I was going to share my Schitt's Creek collection. So Rachel and I, since, goodness, how long, Rachel? Over a year? Have been having weekly, multiple weekly Zoom, FaceTime calls to keep each other company while we were both stuck in lockdown. And during these calls, we'd often share ideas and our designs and things that were going around in our head. And one thing I really enjoyed watching last year was Schitt's Creek. At first, I didn't get it, but everyone was talking about it, and I thought there must be a reason to love it, and I persevered, and I do love it. So I thought, why not let myself be inspired by these characters, because they're so striking, so visual. It was all sort of there for me. So I started off with Moira Rose. So these are the Sunrise Bebe socks, and they have, if I take them off the blocker so you can see them properly, they have, a really flamboyant lacy pattern down the front to suit Moira, and I do love this pattern down the middle. That's my favorite bit. And then on the back, I designed this lace to represent like the big costume jewelry necklaces that she would wear. And I kept it in the black and white. Rachel's done some in different colours so you can see what it looks like. But I kept it in the black and white because, signature palette and all that. So that was Moira. Then next came Johnny. So I did the hashtag socks for Johnny. So I wanted something that was quite sort of smart and business-like. Sorry, I must apologise for the lighting. I'm a bit restricted as to where I can sit. So I hope you can see. But these are actually a really great pattern because they look really detailed, but they're really, really simple, just knits and purls. And I'm actually knitting another pair at the moment for my Strictly socks because they're good TV knitting. So that was Johnny. Then next I did Alexis. So these are called the Little Bit socks. And I wanted them to be quite delicate and pretty. So I've got this sort of broderie anglaise pattern and eyelets on the leg. And it's a nice one because you've got all the detail in the leg and then it's a nice plain foot. It's all plain sailing from there. I should say at this point, all of my sock patterns are designed to be really flexible. So Rachel will know I'm not very keen on a heel flap and gusset. I like an afterthought heel. So even if I do one of Rachel's patterns, I always pop in an afterthought heel. And I think, you know, we all have our preferences, don't we, about the kind of rib we like, the heel, the toe. So my patterns have suggestions, but they leave it open for you to do what you like.
Whereas mine are always
Rachel is a heel flap and gusset queen. I have done them. That's how I started, and for years and years I did them, and I still have socks with them, but it's just my preference now, that's all. And finally, these are the David socks. So these are called Best Wishes, Warmest Regards, and they've got this textured pattern. You can't really tell on these blockers, but I really like these because they kind of look like the slouch socks I used to wear in the 90s when I was a kid. And I did them obviously in the signature black and white again, like Johnny's jumpers. So sorry, not Johnny, David.
I need to knit a pair of those.
Yeah, these are fun. And I've done this pattern. I've done the leg pattern as a shorty sock as well, and that's worked really nicely too. It's a nice knit, that one. It looks kind of fiddly when it's not. So it's my favorite kind of pattern. So that's our kind of previous things. So really, we want to show you what you all came here for today, the main event, which is obviously our Socks on Fire designs. So we've got a design each, and we've knit them in a couple of the different dyers colorways that you'll see later on today in the other videos. So do go and check those out as well. But without further ado, I'll let Rachel show you hers first.
So I'm going to show you, I'm first of all going to show you the first pair that I knitted, because it is a bit easier to see the pattern, although when you see one of the colorways, definitely you'll see why I chose this lace design. So these are the Flambe socks.
Love that.
Socks on Fire.
Brilliant.
And these are in Just Rust by Bird Street Yarn. But first colour I'm going to show you is Soccer Chickaboom by Pixie Yarn.
Excellent.
And you can see that in this colourway it really does look like, well, I think it looks like flickering flames.
It really does.
And it's designed so that the lace is on the outside of each sock, so they're mirrored.
You've got a separate,
and
right.
The chart starts at different positions, so the wavy bits are actually mirrored.
Amazing.
So that's Soccer Chickaboom.
So tell me about your the heel and toe and cuff.
All right, so I do on this one. I'm a cuff down always.
Always, both of them.
You could never get me doing a magic cast on. I'd much rather Kitchener a toe than do a magic cast. Anyway, this has got a 2x2 rib cuff. I change my cuffs depending on what the pattern is. Yeah, all the time. I always do a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and I always do a wedge toe. So I take it off blocker. I always do that toe. You can change the toe and change the heel, but that is the perfect sock for me. And I also have to say again, thank you to Maggie for knitting these. My faithful, wonderful test knitter, and these are for me. So she's not even asking for them back.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
And then we have one more. I have one more colourway, which was by Rachel from Fly Dyed. And these are Smells Like Teen socks.
Very good.
Which is brilliant. And the yarn is absolutely gorgeous.
Amazing.
So you can just see how this pattern makes the kind of stitches move so that they more of a just like an effect than a.
Do you know what that reminds
pattern.
me of? It reminds me of like an oil slick on a puddle.
Yeah, and it's absolutely
Gorgeous.
stunning. And there's these little pops of like, it's just what to knit it is amazing.
Oh,
and again,
gorgeous.
obviously it's the same thing, but I love it. So
yeah, and don't forget you can keep an eye out for these colourways later on during the day.
Yes. So watch everyone's videos.
My socks are called the Ignite socks. So what I've done is I've concentrated the detail to the sock, to the top of the sock, so that you've got the rest in stockinette. So you get to enjoy the lacy pattern, and then you get to really enjoy the colourway in its sort of pure form. So,
and whose colourway is that one?
So this one is Claire and John's. This is Bird Street yarn, and this one is called Rage Against the Sock Machine, which I just love. I just think that's brilliant. Yeah. So mine has got a bit of an unusual cuff, and I wanted that to kind of look like, well, I'm not really sure really. I just thought it would look different. I wanted it to be different, and also it kind of has that effect of, you know, when you look through flames, you get that heat haze and everything gets broken up behind it. It kind of looks like that. And then you've got this sort of flame design. Sorry, it's really hard to show this light. The sun has just gone in.
They will be able to look at your feed for some pictures.
Yeah, and I've got some quite good photos of this on Ravelry because John took them for me, so I've got a nice professional one. And the yarn is just incredible because
gorgeous.
It's got purples and oranges, but then it's got this sort of gold, and Claire's done a really cool new technique on this yarn, so it is really amazing, and it's on Stellina, so it's sparkly too. It's absolutely lovely. And like I said, with my
it ticks all the boxes.
It does tick all the boxes. Like I said, with my patterns, I always use an afterthought heel, a true afterthought heel, and I do a rounded toe. So there are other suggestions in my pattern for different kinds of heels and toes if you prefer otherwise, or I'm sure you've got your own as well. So yeah, those are the Ignite socks. So yeah, you check those out. Those are on Ravelry now. So
are they?
Over, well, they will be when this video goes out.
Oh yeah.
we're not live.
I just did a Graham Norton moment. I just did a Graham Norton moment.
So anyway, we are going to move on. We asked for a few questions on Instagram for us to ask each other. So we're going to do a little bit of a sock Q&A for you. So shall I start, Rachel?
Yeah.
So the first question I had was from Ruth N. Heyman, and she said, how do you link an idea of a pattern to a name, for example, your Bridgerton sock collection? So we've kind of begun to answer that, I think, already.
Yeah, so for me, it's either the colourway of the yarn. If I've got, it's either the colourway. If I've had yarn support from a dyer, they may have an idea themselves as to what they kind of want, but it is usually just the yarn inspiration. And I suppose for Bridgerton, I did look at the characters.
Yeah, we were, and together we were kind of going, oh, you know, Lady Portia would be brilliant because she's so over the top, and you could do bows and you could do this. So yeah, it kind of came from the characters with those, didn't it?
So it does, and then my other ones have kind of just been like mainly from the colourway, like the pine forest stag socks, for example, from Chris's pine green is the colourway from. Yeah, so that for me, that's how it is. Yeah, it's been quite easy actually.
Yeah, I'd say it quite often sort of comes from nowhere, doesn't it, an idea, and then it all kind of falls into place.
And I have ideas all the time.
Yeah,
I can't knit fast enough.
Yeah,
so, and I'm scared that people are going to get sick of me. So
yeah, me too.
Right. So I didn't actually write down who the questions were from.
Oh, that's okay.
So I got asked for you, how do you avoid holes at the sides when doing the gusset? so for
probably not the person to answer that.
The holes, I would say just holes in a heel.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, holes in a true afterthought heel. to avoid those, I would always recommend the Kirby Werby method.
Yeah, me too.
Go onto YouTube and find that video. You won't ever get a hole in an afterthought heel with the Kirby Werby method.
And for me, for doing a gusset, heel flap and gusset, if you have any of my patterns, it tells you how to avoid holes. But basically, you pick up an extra stitch at either end of your heel flap, and then if you do have a little hole, I kind of pull up the loose stitch and knit it together on the row above.
Yeah.
And that just gets rid of any holes.
Yeah.
So if it's really bad hole, then you can always sew it up.
Yeah.
But
brilliant.
I don't like a hole, so I would.
No, you don't want holes. We're not into holes.
No.
Okay, so Maggie, your wonderful test knitter, asked, which of your designs are you most proud of and why?
Well, what shall I say? Which one do I like? I actually
Morning Beautiful sock.
Morning Beautiful is very close to my heart, because they're raising money for myeloma UK, which is the cancer that I'm in remission from. But I am proud of my whistle down socks, because I've sold over 250 copies of them.
Yeah.
So which blows my mind. When I sold 20 copies, it blew my mind, but 250 copies is and counting is definitely what about you?
I was just thinking that I didn't think about this in advance. I would say possibly my next release, which I am going to give you a sneaky peek of in a minute, just because I kind of enjoyed it so much and was so pleased with the finished object. But also, I think the patterns I've done for self-striping yarns, I've sort of enjoyed them, and I've had really good response to them. And I think, to come up with some ideas for something specific like self-striping yarn, because we've all got it, but it's nice to know different things to do with it.
I love your after party socks.
Yeah,
one of my faves.
Yeah, they
and they're in some mine. I knitted mine in some very special yarn as well. So I'm they're very dear to me, those socks.
Oh,
if socks socks are very dear to me.
Yes.
I have over 100 pairs of hand knitted socks. Right, so the next question I have is, how would you do a heel on socks when you're using short circulars for the first time?
Also not a question for me.
So I knit all my socks on short circulars, so I shall tell you how I do it. And if I'm doing a heel flap and gusset, I knit my heel flap and gusset on 2 DPNs and leave the instep stitches on the short circular. So I just knit back and forth on the gusset, do the heel turn, and then I knit across the heel turn stitches and pick up with my short circular. Or I do a short row heel, or it's also called a mitered heel. But I do that for self-striping usually, but it's not it wouldn't ever really be my preference.
Yeah. And also a true afterthought heel is great for self-striping as well. Yeah. And
then if you're doing short circulars, you're just knitting a tube.
Yeah.
And doing it afterwards. So it's definitely that's a good choice.
Right, we better move on because we are running rapidly
out of
time. So we're going to give you a quick sneak peek of our next releases, just to give you a little taster for what we've both got coming up in the next few weeks. So
you go first.
These are called the Heavenly Peace socks, and I actually designed them a year ago, but I kind of left it a bit late before Christmas. So I am releasing them this year.
I have knitted these.
Rachel's test knitted them for me. They're called the Heavenly Peace socks because they're just kind of really calming and peaceful to knit. They're slip stitch colour work. So mosaic.
I have worn mine, so they're a bit.
Yeah, they're mosaic colour work, so they look like really tricky stranded colour work, and they're not. And they are a really enjoyable knit. So these are going to be available in my Ravelry store in a couple of weeks' time. So keep an eye out for those. Rachel, what have you got coming up?
And I've got 3 Christmas socks coming out this year with different dyers. So my first ones are are called the Vintage Yule socks, and they're in collaboration with Copeland Yarn, who's based in Ireland, and they're just kind of vintagey looking Christmas socks.
Very nice.
So this is her mistletoe and wine colourway with an extra gold stellina mini. Wow. Gold on gold stellina.
Nice, double gold.
So they've just got like a leafy pine textured stitch, a little sneaky Latvian braid, which don't worry, I tell you exactly how to do it. A little bit of colour work, and then a repeat of that, and then a little stripy toe.
Very nice.
So, yeah, so those are my vintage Yule socks, and they are coming out on the 5th of November.
Very nice. So don't forget to go and check out our Socks on Fire socks, the Ignite socks and the Flambe socks.
So mine will be in my Ravelry store, which is Twin Set and Pearl on Ravelry.
Yeah, and mine is in my Ravelry store, which is Becky Norman Designs. And don't forget, you can join in with the Socks on Fire cowl with these. So that starts today and runs until the 31st of October. You don't have to finish socks in that time if you want to wait. If you're buying any of the yarns and you want to use those, whips are fine, but if you just use the hashtag Socks on Fire Cal, K-A-L, and if you want to use our socks for the cowl, you can get 20% discount on either of our patterns or both of our patterns using the code FIRE20. If you go to either of our Ravelry stores and pop that code in, you'll get 20% discount. So thank you so much for joining us today. We've really enjoyed sharing our socks with you and enjoyed doing a video together. Are you ready? Yeah. So hopefully you might see a bit more of us in the future sometime. And yeah, do enjoy the rest of the Socks on Fire day. Check out all the other videos. You will see obviously Claire and John from Bird Street Yarn, Kelly of Lay Family Yarns, Sophie of Pixie Yarns, Rachel of Fly Dyed, Jem of Little Grey Girl. Am I forgetting anyone, Ray? No, that's everyone. Oh, I got everyone. That was good.
That's it.
So, yeah, do check out the videos throughout the day. If you look at John's feed, which is Mr. B _ Bird Street Yarn, then he will have all the details and timings and things on there. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you very soon.
Yeah, and definitely tag us on Instagram if you post about any of our socks, and we will probably put you in our stories.
Yeah, lovely.
Can't wait to see them.
Very much. Right then, thanks all for watching. Bye.
Bye.